Hello, it is I, Dharma, your favorite lesbian, your favorite neighborhood lesbian, I should say, and welcome back to Gay Tea. Now, today I have a very special one that actually comes from a comment that I got on my Bestie Exposed 3 Stories About Me and my Bestie video that I did for, I'm just gonna call her Calypso, that I did for Calypso's birthday. Now, just for some clarification, Calypso, also known as Callie, also known as Forest Child on my channels, is a lovely, is an absolutely lovely anthropomorphic animal lover, and, she has, done a lot of, she's done a lot of anthropomorphic animal art and things like that, and she's absolutely lovely. We met in real life first. We've been friends for just about a decade now, actually. It will actually have been a full decade in like a month, I think, a month or two. So, yeah. So I figured not only in celebration of that, but in celebration of this lovely comment by I'm honestly not sure how to say that. It's HXH space HEHD. Don't know how to say that, but I'm gonna call this person Head. Head made an interesting comment on that video, with some suggestions about this mysterious yet wonderful seeming individual. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, let's see, some of the ideas I can't do because, you know, we just can't, we don't really have a story. I don't really have a story about that. But a journey of our friendship timeline, I can certainly do. And the reason why this ties into Gay Tea will be a nice little twist at the end. Hello, bestie. You're amazing. I love you. Let's get started. So, how did it all start? Well, I explained a while back that, I was, a homeschool kid. Alright? How we originally met was that, me mama was, looking on Facebook or something for, homeschooling groups, and she was joining a bunch, like, every day. And one of the ones was actually hosted by Calypso's mama. And, the reason why this is important is because Calypso's mama, which I've called Mrs. Cheeto up to this point and will continue to do, Mrs. Cheeto was actually hosting little get-togethers every Friday, roughly in our area. We couldn't attend all of them because Mrs. Cheeto was nice enough to switch up the public park locations to be ones next to each of the mamas of the group. But yeah, quite a few other notable people in my life joined the group as well. I don't really have any sort of cool channel names for them just yet, so I'll get back to you on that. Plus, this isn't, meaning this as nicely as I can, but this isn't about them, so yeah. So I met a lot of my other longtime friends on there as well, and, yeah. But the thing is, at first, actually, Calypso and I were kind of rivals, actually. We weren't, like, breathing down each other's necks or being big jerks, but we weren't exactly on the same side, either. Neither of us were really bullies, either, because, well, my bully phase would come a few years later. We'll get to that. So, yeah, at first we weren't really the greatest. But, a few years in, we kind of softened up to each other. Yet again, we weren't, like, hanging out all the time and things like that. But as we gradually grew, we kind of grew closer together. which is aided by other reasons as well that little smaller Darmy didn't know at the time, which yet again I'll be getting into later. So yeah, we kind of grew closer together until we actually became friends, and we actually started doing things like sleepovers and things like that, and just in general having a really fun time hanging out with each other. And I think this kind of started one Halloween. Mrs. Cheeto would host Halloween parties and, seasonal parties and things like that. Not on the actual day, but, sometime before or after. It was always really fun. But yeah, so Mrs. Cheeto was hosting a Halloween party as usual, going as her iconic Jack Sparrow as usual. And me and Calypso, we were having a bit of a time. We had gotten like little gift bags or something, and I didn't get exactly what I wanted, and I wanted like some sort of cheapy ring from her or something. And, I threw a little Darmy fit about it, I must admit. But she eventually tossed it over to me, and in that moment, I kind of realized, like, what am I doing? Why do I even want this? In that moment, I realized that it was all kind of because of jealousy, so I tossed the ring back, and I think that, at the very least for me, was kind of the catalyst for change when it came to Calypso. Like, I think that was, and I know that seems like a very insignificant moment, but they always seem like insignificant moments, especially when you're small. So, yeah. So, like I said, we started actually hanging out and becoming friends over the years, and that's when the warrior cats phase came in. Now, my dearest Calypso has gone through many phases in her life, and is going to continue going through them, just like I have. Right now, I'm really trying to get a spiky choker. But anyways, putting the goth Dharma aside, Calypso was going through a warrior's cats phase where she found the beloved series by Aaron Hunter and really, really loved it. And she, later on, actually got me into it. But before then, what had happened was I decided, you know what? I'm gonna check it out online. I didn't actually go online to read any of the books or anything like that, but I checked out the different roles. You see, in Warrior Cats, just to give you a basic rundown, there are different roles for each of the cats of the clans. Not gonna go into too much detail about the clans, but anyways, so each clan had a few different roles to fill. There was leader, which was top of the block. You'd earn 9 lives via a magic stone, and be leader for basically the rest of your lives, or unless something happened. Then there would be the deputy, which is the leader's right-hand cat. Then, of course, we'd have the medicine cats, sometimes medicine cats, although there's usually one per clan. Then there's the medicine apprentices, which are younger cats that are specifically being trained in becoming medicine cats. Then, of course, there are, of course, elder cats as well, which are just basically old cats that can't really hunt or do much for the clan anymore, but for some reason still stick around, at least until they perish. Then, of course, there's apprentices, which most apprentices are warrior apprentices. They learn the hunting and things like that, which are trained, of course, by warriors. And then there's kits, which is short for kittens, which are basically babies. And then there's queens, but we don't care too much about them. So, yeah, those are all the roles, and I still remember them to this day because they have made such a substantial, this whole entire thing made such a substantial mark on my life. You see, while I wasn't necessarily interested in the books, which I would come to later find out when I actually got some books to read and found them to be pretty meh, I was interested in Calypso's interest in them, and we ended up bonding over it because I have this digital art app on my iPad called ProCreate, And because I like to take my iPad everywhere with me, at least when, when it comes to sleepovers and vacations and things like that, because of that, I took it over to a few sleepovers with her, and I actually had drawn some cats for my own made-up clan based off of the series, at least what I knew about it. And so, even just the few things that I read up, I made an entire clan, drew art of each of the characters, and eventually we started role-playing, and Calypso and I started role-playing together after she created her cat, Lightning. I mainly played as the cat Hope, but I also took the roles of a lot of the other cats in the clan, including the iconic one known as Harper. And there were a few other iconic ones, but still. So, yeah. It's one of those where overall it was a really fun time and it bonded us ever closer, along with a few other role plays and games that we would play. We just kept getting closer and closer, and even when I eventually moved away, or traveled away, I should say, we still kept in contact via our phones. We are still texting and FaceTiming, things like that to this day. Now, it gets a little bit hazy from here on out because this is where we start traveling and things like that. But anyways, so I'm just going to zoom past a few years that aren't really that important. Mostly just texting, FaceTiming, having a goofy time. And we started bonding over the game Roblox and the game Minecraft, which is oftentimes still what we do on call to this day. So zooming forward in time, past all of that, we now come to just a few years ago. Now, let me give you a little bit more insight into Dharmi. Now, I know I've talked about this before when it comes to my gay journey, but just a little summary. You see, for quite a while there in my life, I was convinced that I was supposed to have a crush on every single boy in my sights. And, first off, I'm such a lesbian now. And, B, any boy that I knew that, I was friends with would at some point have a quote-unquote crush on. Do keep in mind that they weren't actually crushes. I didn't actually have any feelings towards these people. I just thought they were good friends that happened to be boys. But a few years ago, this changed. And I was really starting to get into the LGBTQIA community and supporting it, and soon enough realizing I might be a part of it. And one of the first people that I ever came out to was, in fact, Calypso. You see, yet again, we were on another FaceTime call and we were playing on Roblox, and I know specifically that it was Royal High. And the reason why this matters is because in that game, you get a lot of customized options. And that is one of the few games that to this day has the LGBTQIA inspired clothing in it as well that has the flags and stuff on it. And the reason why this mattered is because I was dabbling in the term bisexual at the time. Now, bisexual means that you're attracted to two genders. Typically, you're attracted to boys and girls, but you can mix it up a bit, like boys and NBs, or girls and NBs, things like that, just whatever. But typically it means boys and girls. And I knew, even at the time, I knew this wasn't exactly the term for me, but I just wanted something to get me out there. So on that call, I decided to put on one of the bisexual sweatshirts for my avatar and told Calypso pretty nonchalantly that I was bisexual. And, it just kind of naturally worked into the conversation because I was all like, wait, they've got the bisexual sweater, yeah! And things like that. And she didn't even bat an eye. And, you know, of course, a while later, I'd come out to a lot of other people, and as slightly different things, because, like I said, bisexual was just a term that I used until I realized I was pansexual, and then the omnisexual thing, and then have finally come to lesbian. But yeah, so, you know, for me, she was kind of the gateway. And then I feel like I was also a catalyst for this as well, because I came out, and then everybody else started coming out from my original group. Like, it was Calypso then who came out as bisexual and actually stayed under that term for a while. Then, it was a few other friends. One came out as gay and is now currently bisexual. A friend that I'm no longer really in contact with anymore, found out she was lesbian, and just, like, a few other people as well, and I just, you know, it feels like I came out, then she came out, and then a bunch of other people came out, and things like that. And so, yeah, our relationship kept growing and expanding over the years, and, with this, she helped me feel comfortable in my own skin, and feel comfortable with, me being a part of this community, and overall, this really helped me a lot. And, now we get to move on to not necessarily recent, like this happened last week or last month or whatever, but things that happened more in the last few years. And, yeah. So, Calypso soon enough came out to be a furry, and not as in furry adult fun times, but as in having a furry identity. Yes, there is a difference, a very stark difference, and I'm kind of okay with both. Like, you know, you do whatever you want, with consent and respect towards your partner, of course, when you're over 18. And like I said, she has furry identity versus, you know, furry adult fun time like most people think. There is a difference now, when it comes to the community that I'll get into another day, but just know it has more to do with identity than it has to do with anything else. But yeah, so she came out as a furry. I didn't even bat an eye. I don't think anybody else really did either. Especially in the context of it being more to do with identity than anything else. So yeah, and so we've both just been pals. We've been fine with coming out to each other each time things change. Of course, working it in naturally, but most of the time we're both just really proud of each other, just really excited to find new good terms for ourselves and things like that. But yeah, so, you know, over time, she's been making her personas. The one that I showed in the birthday video specifically, that was of Saturn. But she's moved past that. She's now onto her persona of Calypso, which is why I'm calling her Calypso, because it is her current persona, and you know what? It is beautiful. The color scheme is based off of the new pansexual flag, and it is absolutely stunning. I love that teal. And the accent colors as well. I'm gonna have to draw it sometime. But yeah, so we've both been very comfortable with each other, and I'd say like a year ago, she actually fell in love with somebody, currently known to the internet sphere as Polaris. And Calypso and Polaris have been very happy in their relationship, but for me, it really stung, and here's the reason why. The reason why I know I'm lesbian now is because of Calypso. Because it turns out that up into a little while ago, not actually a little while ago, it's actually a while ago now, but up until a while ago now, I actually had a crush on her. Whoop-de-doop! So, yeah, it turns out for all this time, I actually had a crush on Calypso. And this ties into something that I failed to mention up until this point. You see, this was a bit of a while back now, but I went through a bully phase, like I mentioned. And the reason why is because I wanted Calypso kind of all to myself. This was back when I was still living in an area, still living back in Texas, where we were still doing the meetup group thing and things like that every Friday. And as our relationship grew for a while there, I just wanted to do things and play games with Calypso by myself without anybody else there. And this kind of gave me a bit of a bully arc for a while, because I would try to, take Calypso for myself and get everybody else away while we went to do our thing by ourselves. And I think the large part of it was because I had a crush on her. Now, for the longest time, I didn't know this either. It wasn't up until a little bit after she had actually gotten with Polaris that I realized that I had a crush on her. And, of course, with her being with Polaris, that kind of wasn't going to happen. Now, I have no resentment towards her. There's nothing wrong with her finding love, and I actually find their relationship to be, cute. I'm glad that they found something in each other, and I'm glad that they're having a good time with each other. But at the time, I must admit, I was a bit upset. There was a lot of singing breakup songs, even though we were never together in the first place, but it felt like a huge breakup because, like I said, we've been friends for a very long time now, and throughout the majority of the time, I probably had a crush on her, so, all of these feelings were all tied into each other, and it was just blah. But I can guarantee to you all that I am thoroughly over it now, and I'm glad that they're in a relationship. I am a little bit jelly, though, because of the fact that I want to be in a relationship, but when it comes to Calypso and Polaris, as long as they treat each other right and have a good time, and, things obviously don't become toxic, I think it's fine. I'm glad that she has found somebody that makes her happy and is having a good time with them. And, that's all you can hope for, For right now, we are truly just at best friend status. There's nothing else to it. And yeah, for the most part, that is the story of us. In an effort to not make this video too long, some details, some less important details have been cut out and things like that. But yeah. So yeah, that's kind of been our journey up until this point. We still remain to be the best of friends. I support her, she supports me, and she's recently been supporting me through some drama that I've been going to. Yes, it turns out I actually do have drama in my life, that you can learn a little bit more about in my podcast. Let's see, I think it's episode 417. The link to that and a few other things will be in the description down below. I just don't want to go into it here because I just don't want to sour this video. This is meant to be about a wonderful relationship. But yeah, so it turns out I was lesbian the entire time and had a crush on Calypso. But yeah, but right now I'm manifesting a girlfriend, and I'm just happy that she has a good relationship. It's not a perfect relationship, but it's very good, and things are going smoothly, and, for now, I'm just happy with her. Happy for her, I should say. I'm happy just being her best friend. So, yeah, like I said, check out the links down below if you'd like to. But like I said, when it comes to the podcast thing, in all honesty, though, it'd catch you up a little bit on my life currently. But yeah. Anyways, I'll be seeing you all later. Hope you have a rainbow-rific day, and on to the next one.